Are you familiar with MGTOW? Have you heard of that? Men going their own way. So there's a bunch of groups within the manosphere, right? Which is men trying to
manosphere?
Manosphere, yeah. So men trying to work out what to do online. And I resonate with this because I was somebody that got to the end of his 20s and was fucking clueless. I mean, I still might be a man-child now at 34, but my point being that I'm less of an idiot than I was back then. So there's a whole bunch of different groups: red pill, black pill, MGTOW, incels, all of this stuff. And what they're trying to do is they're all different flavors of people trying to work out how the world works. And men going their own way are people that have been scorned by women usually, or having difficulty with women, and have now renounced them entirely. We don't need them. I'm not going to be involved with them anymore. Men going their own way. A lot of them are people who maybe were previously married. They're tangential to men's rights, which is, you may be familiar with, they're kind of like justice for guys who don't have access to their kids after divorce and stuff like that. And what's happening here is they've got the simulacrum of a community.
If you are a modern day woman, this message is for you. Okay, now that the modern day women are just here and all the Proverbs 31 traditional women are gone, listen to this message from another woman so y'all can be receptive to it.
I don't think a lot of us really understand the fact that a man granting us access into his life is really a perk, a privilege, and a benefit. It really is. So y'all walking around talking about, I'm gonna do me, boo. The men are like, okay, cool. But don't hit me up talking about what I'm supposed to do in the midst of all of that. These men don't need y'all. Y'all make it seem like it's a luxury for a man to have today's women. The average today's woman is a woman that, again, is entitled, selfish, greedy, needy, broke, ran through. And even the bad ones, y'all just as worse as the average chicks. Yeah, all of y'all beautiful, fine, sexy women out there, yeah, trash. So let's not do too much with all of the, oh, well, I'm going to do me and I really don't need you. Please stop. Winter is here and the men can see it. So they know doggone well y'all absolutely need them to be a part of y'all's equation. Y'all need desperate, dire help.
I love how she called out the do me bluff, because they really thought men would just wait around forever while they played games. 2026 is showing the world that the I don't need a man energy was just a front for people who never expected us to actually walk away. Now that men are finding happiness on their own, the panic is starting to set in. You can't claim independence and then get mad when men finally grant you that wish.
Weak men focus on women. Women focus on strong men. Strong men focus on their mission. So focus on yourself until the focus is on you.
It's simple logic that people keep trying to overcomplicate with emotions. In 2026, we're seeing the result of men finally unplugging from the chase and realizing their value was always tied to their own growth, not someone else's approval. When you stop making a woman your primary objective, the manipulation tactics lose all their power. Peace isn't found in a relationship where you're the only one sacrificing. It's found in the mission you build for yourself.
The masculinity on earth has diminished drastically that guys don't even come up to you anymore. Why are men not confident enough to walk up to women now?
Why? Well, it's not worth it anymore. And for two different reasons. One, what modern women want from an average guy nowadays does not match what they have to offer. And two, and the experience of approaching a girl is usually at best not pleasant. Of course, I'm speaking for American and European men, not for myself. I approach women all the time, and even when I get rejected, it's almost pleasant. And you know why I'm having such a different experience? Well, it's because I now live right here in Southeast Asia. And if you are an American or a European man and you still think that one day you will meet a good girl to date and then marry where you're at, well, that's adorable, but also delusional.
Calling men delusional for staying in these Western environments is the most honest thing said in that clip. We've been conditioned to think we have to fix a broken system, but sometimes you just have to walk away from the wreckage to find your own happiness. They want you to keep playing a game where the rules change every time you start winning. If the experience of meeting a woman has become a chore instead of a joy, then opting out isn't hating. It's just high-level self-preservation.
So all the men from my previous post saying that they have found peace by being alone and they're not trying to date because they just want peace. Are you trying to say that we don't bring peace to your life? I have to disagree. I do not think that if a woman that you so desired was available to you, you would choose peace over commitment, sex, good meals with conversation, and things like that. So I'm going to call your bluff because I don't think that's true. This, by the way, is not police lights. This is some kind of flashing light in a parking lot. I'm not quite sure what it is. But anyway, again, calling your bluff. Okay?
Look at how she centers herself in a conversation that isn't even about her. She can't process the idea that a man's mental health doesn't revolve around her availability. She lists sex and a meal like those are rare commodities worth sacrificing your sanity for. That's the narcissism right there. Believing her presence is so magical that a man must be lying about being happy without the headache. It's not a bluff. It's a priority shift she's not equipped to understand.
The reason why men stop pursuing relationships is because once they started putting two and two together and realized that all you need to get women is a couple of neck tattoos, maybe some earrings, and a couple of bad habits, and all of a sudden you're the guy who multiple women want to sleep with you and have your kid, and all of a sudden you got 3 baby mamas and you don't really do anything for them, but yet you get all of the sexual access. Yeah, guys started checking out real quick. And we're like, screw this. So I'm supposed to work my ass off. I'm supposed to protect and I'm supposed to provide. I'm supposed to build all this stuff so that way the right woman, when she's ready, is ready to swoop in and then be with me, when in reality, who she gave all of her younger years to were all the dudes who didn't do anything for her. See, this is why men have started checking out. This is why men don't approach. This is why men don't care anymore. When you start to see that women have essentially rewarded only the worst men and then complain about how there's no real men while simultaneously rejecting all of them. Like, this is what you have to remember about these women. These women rejected all of these guys in their 20s, all of them. And I would even go as far as to say that the men that they were rejecting, some of these men were equal of attractiveness or even more attractive than the women sometimes. And these women would still reject them because of the overinflated sense of attractiveness.
Nah, bruh. He's 100% right. Why would a man work his soul away to build a castle for a woman who spent her prime giving everything away for free to a dude who wouldn't even buy her a meal? It's not about bitterness. It's about simple math and self-respect. If the worst men get the best versions of you, don't be surprised when the best men decide to stay on the sidelines and focus on their own peace. The rising numbers in 2026 aren't a mystery. It's just men finally valuing their own sweat and blood.
The movement men going their own way is not about hating women. It's about self-protection. Many men already tried relationship, marriage, and commitment. And instead of peace, they got pressure, blame, and risk. So they stepped back. They chose to focus on their health, work, hobbies, their peace. And it doesn't make them bitter. It makes them aware. So MGTOW is not anger. It's just a quiet decision to stop sacrificing yourself in situations when you're not respected.
It's actually a bit disappointing that it had to come to this. Men literally having to go their own way just to find basic respect. We tried the traditional route, we played by the rules, and most of the time we just got burned for our efforts. This rise in 2026 isn't some trend. It's a direct response to a culture that treats men like they're disposable. If the only way to get peace is to be alone, then a lot of brothers are realizing that's a price they're more than willing to pay.
I've given up dating and pursuing women, and I think more men should do the same. I haven't given up out of hopelessness. I've given up out of clarity. And no, it's not because I'm gay. This isn't a coming out video, but that'd be really funny if it was. I've deleted the apps. I've stopped chasing, and instead I've become completely obsessed with building the life that I actually want to live. My music, my businesses, my health, my home, my son, my purpose, the things that actually set my soul on fire. And here's what I've realized. That obsession brings me more fulfillment than any relationship ever has. I wake up genuinely excited about what I'm building, and there's something that feels so deeply right about a man who knows exactly what he's here to do and just does it. So that's the work right now. Not becoming perfect, just focused on being whole, because the version of me that I'm embodying doesn't need a woman to feel complete. I'm already full. So when I meet someone next, I want there to be zero part of me looking for her to fulfill something in me. No neediness, no quiet desperation dressed up as romance. I want to show up already overflowing, and whatever we share is just extra. It's a bonus, pure joy on top of an already great life. That's the kind of love I actually want to experience. And I believe you can only really have that when you've done the work on yourself first. So that's exactly where I'm at. My focus is on being the best me, and I trust that the rest will follow.
This is the blueprint for real freedom right here. He stopped looking for a woman to be his missing piece and realized he was the whole puzzle the entire time. You can see the shift in 2026. Men aren't bitter. They're just busy building empires instead of begging for attention. When you're obsessed with your own mission, the propaganda loses its flavor and you finally start breathing for yourself.
Men are done. They're walking away from dating. They're walking away from relationships and marriage. They don't want anything to do with women anymore. Or the fact that today's modern women can't seem to understand that they are the reason why men are walking away from dating, relationships, and marriage. For years now, you've all run around saying you don't want men, you don't need men, you just want them to leave you alone. And if you didn't say it, you allowed other women to say it for you and never told them to stop. You allowed those women to speak for you and to tell men to go away, which is exactly what men are doing. Yet you're all sitting here shocked that men are actually doing what you asked, because you've all convinced each other that men don't listen to you, when in fact, we do. We hear you loud and clear. And yet here you are wondering why there's no men at these dating events. I mean, really? Then of course there's the never-ending ridiculous demands, higher standards you've all come up with, where you expect men to be perfect, where you'll deride them for being less than 6 feet tall or making less than 6 figures, even though the overwhelming majority of men fall into one or both of those camps. And don't even get me started on these 6-pack abs and 6-inch you-know-what, which you all demand men have, but when men hold you to similar criteria, you scream it's not fair, it's body shaming. I'm sorry to tell you, ladies, but contrary to the belief you all have, we're not dumb. We see and hear what you're saying. We see it for the double standards and utter hypocrisy that it is, and we're not going to deal with it. But hey, you can keep chasing those perfect 10s, the less than 5% of guys that actually meet all those criteria, even though the reality is, for most of you, you don't stand a chance of getting one of those guys, because they could have any woman they want, and they're not going to settle for an average woman, which is what most of you are. Just like most men are average also. And just like you've rejected all those average men as not worthy enough, well, I hate to break it to you, they're now rejecting you because you're not worthy enough. The difference being that, unlike women rejecting men for superficial things like not having 6-pack abs or being 6 foot tall or making 6-figure income, men are rejecting the average woman because they've become so toxic, so ridiculous with their demands, so utterly narcissistic that it's simply not worth engaging with them. Ladies, you need to look in the mirror and ask yourselves a serious question. Why? As in, why would you think men would want anything to do with you, would want to be anywhere near you, let alone go on dates or be in relationships with you? Why would you think we'd want to put up with that toxic behavior? And before you all go screaming, it's not fair to label us all that way, remember the other thing that I haven't brought up yet, but I will now. The whole Me Too movement. The one where you scream to the high heavens, it's all men till it's no men. Or that every man should be assumed to be bad until he proves himself to be good. Well, ladies, guess what? The reverse is true too. It's all women till it's no women.
It's honestly hilarious watching them panic because the top-tier guys they're holding out for won't even look their way. They let the loudest voices speak for them, cheered on the fake independence, and now they're shocked the dating events are empty. You demanded a 6-foot, 6-figure superhero while bringing nothing but a toxic attitude and a list of demands. We heard the message loud and clear. We just decided to leave you to your delusions.
Let's talk about the red flag label. After my last post, a few very kind people told me that I am the problem, that I am the red flag. That's why I'm single. But here's the thing. I am absolutely okay with that, because if being a red flag means refusing to settle for half-hearted effort, if it means expecting honesty in communication, walking away when energy doesn't match mine, if it means knowing my worth, then I will proudly wave.
Ma'am, you're over 40. You're over-evaluating your worth in the sexual marketplace. You want a guy that fulfills all your requirements, but you don't fulfill the requirements that guys your age are looking for. That's the problem, ma'am.
That red flag. All too often, women are told that they are too much, that they are too honest, that they are too confident, that they are too ambitious, that they are...
No, ma'am, we're just saying you're too old to be so picky, ma'am. If you are in your 20s, you are 25 right now, you could be this picky because there will be a lot of men fighting to get your attention, fighting to marry you, fighting to be in a relationship with you. But you're over 40 and you have more expectations than when you were 25, when all the guys were fighting for you.
I always laugh when they try to romanticize being a red flag. She really thought she ate with that proudly wave thanks speech, only for him to drop the reality check she's been dodging for a decade. They swear men are terrified of their confidence, but in reality, men just don't care enough to argue with an overinflated ego. She wants the premium provider package while offering expired terms and conditions.
If you want to understand the massive shift happening in 2026, it boils down to one word: clarity. For decades, the culture tried to shame men into compliance. We were handed a rigged game where the prize was a lifetime of unappreciated sacrifice, double standards, and zero accountability. They labeled us toxic, demanded perfection while offering bare minimum effort, and threw the hate card the second a man established a boundary. So, what did men do? We did exactly what they asked. We stepped back. But instead of the bitterness and loneliness they expected, brothers found absolute peace. We're building our businesses, protecting our mental health, focusing on our purpose, and keeping our resources to ourselves. The modern dating market is panicking right now because the bluff finally got called. The propaganda lost its power because you can't manipulate a man who has realized he is already whole without you. We aren't mad, and we aren't boycotting women. We just leveled up and opted out of the narcissism. You're watching the silent majority of men finally choosing themselves over the chaos. And the honest truth is, we've never been happier. If you're tired of the gaslighting and you're riding with this truth, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and let's keep building our peace. We out.